Hello. Welcome to another edition of Stretching and Strengthening with Auntie Angel. That's me. Also known as ZGALA, the Art Angel. As usual, I'm here to let go of some stress, trying to shift to starting my day with this sort of thing instead of just ending my day. Maybe I can eventually do both. It's a good time to remind you there's not one way to do this right or to do this wrong. There are many ways, and I encourage you to listen to your own body, follow your own lead. This is really about getting to know and love yourself a little bit more. So all that said, let's get to it then. I'm going to do a full body stretch for me, and I encourage you to do one for you based on what feels right in your body. You are, of course, welcome and encouraged to take inspiration from what I do, but I am not trying to get anyone to do exactly what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is getting to know and love myself better. Deal? All right. Let's get to it then. It's a beautiful day outside. We're getting to be the end of April, coming up into May. I like to start off with some free arm swinging just to get the energy moving in the body. I encourage you to indulge in heavy sighs as much as you feel like. I think that's a good way to let go of stress, which is really one of the main objectives to this. Letting go of stress, getting the energy moving in the body, making room for new stresses. I don't mean that in the worst possible way like it might sound. I really mean it in the way of we are incredible beings with the capacity to do more than we think. I'm going to start off with some rooting into the earth, relaxing the bottoms of the feet. Maybe a few shoulder shrugs, breathing in, tensing up, and then just letting that go, letting the arms swing, left over right, right over left, and then one more. Shaking all that out, I'm going to start with a step back with the left foot. Ooh, I got my slidey shoes on today. I had to move away from the boots. It's getting too warm. Pulling the hips onto the perpendicular line by pulling this back hip forward hip back, tucking the tailbone under a little, pushing into that back heel, and checking that this front knee isn't crunching past those front toes so I can still see it. See them? See my foot? That's what I meant. Bringing the hands down in front, I'm going to roll the shoulders down and back and just bring sharp focus onto those fingertips. Trying to remember to breathe and smile all the while. Really, when I'm breathing, I am shifting back and forth between really bringing my focus to the inside of my body, focusing on the belly and the diaphragm, and then this sharp focus on my fingertips helps bridge that awareness out to the outer sides of my body. And then I like to alternate that sharp focus with soft eyes out at the imaginary horizon and noticing that peripheral view. It's just a great exercise for the awareness, for the mind. So again, sharp focus, again, dropping those shoulders, shifting the hips onto the perpendicular line, and then again, soft eyes out at the imaginary horizon. And then sharp focus again on those fingertips. And I'm going to shift that back heel onto the perpendicular line, opening the hips now, extending the fingers, and then watching that finger arch across the top of the body. Just great practice for the focus and the balance. And now my heels are on relatively one line, adjusting as needed for stability. You don't want to go toppling over ever, if you can help it. But if you do, make sure you bend your knees and roll with it. Checking in on the alignment out past each set of fingertips. Just enjoying this open hip sensation here on the side plane. A little bit of strengthening, and then I'm going to bend from the hip, so not the waist, which is up here, but the hip where the body goes into or connects with the leg goes into the body. I'm going to lift that left hand and use this right hand and foot against each other for torque and support. I'm kind of pushing the elbow and the knee against each other there. Gazing up past these fingertips. And then I'm going to bring this hand around the back side for an additional twist, reaching for this thigh here and gazing out past that long leg. Giving all the organs a nice internal hug, I like to think of it as. Still breathing in, a smiling. I'm going to unwind all of that, shifting the hips closed, coming up onto that back toe, bringing both hands on the inside of that front leg, bending the elbows a little bit for an additional stretch there in that back leg, and then bringing weight onto the hands, bringing this front leg back to meet the back leg and pushing back into Adho Mukha Asana or downward facing dog. Pressing the hips back toward the wall behind. Fingers are wide, palms are strong, a nice long line from the fingertips through the spine and out the tailbone, tipping that tailbone a little bit toward the back of the head. Pressing down in the heels, pressing up with the butt. All that creates a nice tension through the body, strengthening. I like to really focus on bringing the heart down toward the center of the earth, bringing the head in between the hands. Feels good through the arms. And then I'm going to swing the body forward, coming into a cobra pose through that plank position, lifting the eyes, lifting the chest, lowering the knees, lowering the hips, letting go of those toes, and stretching from the pubic bone through the belly, up through the chin. Add a little tongue stretch there for good measure, since you probably don't do that enough. Again, stretching the chin toward the ceiling, really pressing up through the shoulders, making sure not to collapse there. Relaxing the belly if possible, relaxing the low back if possible. And then I'm going to shift back into Utthana Shishosana or extended puppy pose, bringing the lower body about to a 90-degree angle and sliding these fingertips out, aiming the forehead for the floor, bringing that all the way down if possible. Continuing to extend those fingertips gives a nice stretch through the arms and chest and shoulders. Kind of a half relaxing, half working pose here, which is fun to say, Utthana Shishosana or extended puppy pose. Continuing to relax the belly and work those fingertips out a little bit more to increase that stretch. Just letting those shoulders and chest and arms relax a little bit. For me, that's a kind of intense but very good feeling stretch. You see how it feels in your body. I'm going to come back to hands under shoulders, knees are under hips, and do some cat-cow stretching with the breath. So starting in tabletop with the spine relatively flat, and then rounding by tucking the chin and the tailbone and pressing up through the shoulders, pulling up in the abdomen and exhaling, squeezing the air out. That's Arjariasana or cat pose. I'm going to counter that with Bitilasana or cow pose, lifting the chest, lifting the tailbone and breathing into the belly. And then I'm going to do a few rounds of that with the breath. And coming back to neutral tabletop position again. I'm going to walk these hands out about a foot and then tuck the toes under and lift the hips. Coming back into Adho Mukha Asana or downward facing dog. Pressing the heart toward the center of the earth, pressing down in the heels, pressing back with the hips. Relaxing the belly, tipping the tailbone a little bit toward the back of the head. Then I'm going to step forward with this left foot, coming into a nice deep lunge on the other side. Pressing into that back heel. Letting go of the stress and the phlegm if possible. I'm going to straighten this front leg, pulling that back leg forward just enough to press down in that heel and aim chin for toes, draping the upper body over that lower body. Getting a nice stretch there on the front leg, and then I'm going to bring weight onto the hands and slide these feet out since those slidey shoes are encouraging anyway, and do a splits-ish stretch. I call this a very informal and freestyle. I'm using my hands to support my weight so I don't overstretch that. Again, you listen to your own body, follow your own lead. And I'm going to bring this foot back, bend the knee, and step forward with that back foot. Coming into a forward fold. Just letting gravity do some unwinding there. Maybe bend the knees and then straighten them. Still relaxing the belly. Letting go of the head and neck. And then bending the knees, swinging the arms back. Coming into a counter stretch. Lifting the eyes, arms, and chest to the sky. Pushing the hips forward just a little bit. For a moderate back bend. Just gentle, just still listening to the body. Breathing and smiling all the while. I'm going to bring these hands down in front and again roll the shoulders down and back. Check in with the alignment here. Relax the bottoms of the feet. Make sure the knees aren't locked. Checking in with the hips, nice and loose and over the ankles. The shoulders loose, rolled back a little bit and over the hips. The back of the neck is nice and long. The ears are over the shoulders. And then I'm going to step back on the other side with the right foot. Coming again into that moderate lunge or warrior pose. And again, pulling the hips onto this perpendicular line. Feet are relatively parallel on different lines for stability. Pressing back into that heel creates a little more of that stability. Tucking the tailbone under. Looking for that nice, long core, strong core sensation through the center of the body. Let's bring these hands down in front and again roll the shoulders down and back and focus sharp eyes on the fingertips and then soft eyes out at the imaginary horizon or the horizon. If you're outside, noticing the peripheral view and then sharp focus again on those fingertips. And soft eyes out at the horizon. And sharp focus again on the fingertips. I'm going to extend those fingertips a little bit, keeping the shoulders down and back and shifting the heel onto the perpendicular line as I watch this finger arch across the body, practicing my balance there, opening the hips, coming into this side warrior pose or side triangle, gazing out past the fingertips on each side, checking in on the alignment. And then I'm going to again bend from the hips. Now my heels are on about the same line as I slide that long leg down. Then from the hip and bring this left hand on the inside of the left foot and lift the right fingertips, gazing up past those fingertips or at them. You can practice both of those and notice how that creates a little bit different sensation in the body. Using that left arm and leg against each other for torque and support. And then bringing this right hand around the back to reach for that opposite thigh. Giving all the organs a nice little hug. The spine, a little additional twist. Gazing out past that long leg, engaging the neck with that twist, and then unwinding all of that and bringing both hands down on the inside of that front leg, shifting onto the back toe, closing the hips. I'm going to bend the elbows a little bit to increase that stretch before bringing weight onto the hands and bringing that front foot back, pressing into downward facing dog or Adho Mukha Asana. Pressing down in the heels, pressing back in the hips, pressing down with the heart. Head is in between the hand, or arms rather, elbows about. Hands are nice and strong, fingers are wide. Nice long line from the fingertips through the spine, out the tailbone. Relaxing the belly. I'm going to bring the body forward through a plank position or a chaturanga and lowering the hips, lowering the knees, letting go of those toes and lifting through the chest and eyes, pressing through the palms, stretching the whole front of the body. And a little tongue stretch, and then lifting the chin. More tongue stretch and more chin stretch. Let's look over the left side, stretch a little bit more on the right. See if you can make eye contact with the heels. And then come back to center. Pressing up and then over the other side. Again, stretching the opposite side just a little bit more. I'm going to come back and do some more Uttana Shishosana after I adjust the pantalones. Sliding these hands out and aiming the forehead for the floor. Still keeping that lower body engaged and trying to get to a nice resting spot while stretching the upper body. Moving those fingertips out and out. Relaxing the belly, continuing to move those fingertips out. Just enjoying that release for a breath or two, for walking the hands back. And I'm going to tuck the toes under and lift the hips, pressing back again into Adho Mukha Asana or downward facing dog. My feet are slipping, pressing down in the heels, pressing back in the hips, pressing the heart toward the center of the earth. Again, fingers are wide, palms are real strong. Looking for a nice long line sensation from the fingertips out the tailbone. You can bend the right knee and press more into that left heel, and then bend the left knee, pressing more into the right. Almost a little moonwalk with my slidey shoes. I'm going to slide this front foot forward on the right side, coming into that deep lunge on the other side now again. Pressing into that back heel, and then slide that back heel forward just enough to press down and straighten that front leg, aiming chin for toes. Draping the upper body over the lower body, still pulling those hips onto the perpendicular line. I'm going to bring weight onto the hands as I slide those feet out into a splits-ish stretch on the other side. I like to roll that back and forth a little. Again, I encourage you to listen to your own body. Bringing this foot back enough to bend that leg and step forward. Back into a forward fold. Just releasing the head and neck, releasing the shoulders. Letting the upper body hang off the lower body. Still breathing in, a smiling. I'm going to engage the pelvis, the lower part of the spine, and roll up nice and slow, one vertebra at a time, coming all the way back to upright. Just checking in with the alignment. Breathing in, bringing hands overhead. Let's do a swan dive down to half fold. Still just checking in with the whole spine and body. I'm going to do what I call a self-hug now, rounding the spine, tipping the tailbone, tucking the chin, pulling up in the abdomen, and left elbow over right, pulling these shoulder blades apart, tucking the chin, and just really exhaling, rounding the spine. And then breathing in, expanding everything in. Coming back into that full forward fold, relaxing the belly, letting go of the head and neck. I'm going to do that again on the other side. Right elbow over left, pulling everything up. Inhaling and then exhaling into that rounded spine, tucking the tailbone, tucking the chin, really pulling these shoulder blades apart. You can give those a little extra rub or massage if that feels good. I have a kind of a chronic knot over here, so try to give that a little extra love. Exhaling and then inhaling really deep, expanding the rib cage, and just letting all that go, coming back into forward fold. Bend the knees one more time, coming up into that counter stretch, lifting the eyes, arms, and chest to the sky, pushing the hips forward a little bit, coming maybe into a slightly deeper back bend before bringing all that back into the upright Tadasana, mountain pose, bringing the hands down in front, rolling the shoulders down and back. And again, just checking with the alignment, relaxing the bottoms of the feet, relaxing the knees, relaxing the hips over the ankles, relaxing the shoulders over the hips, lengthening the back of the neck a little bit so that the ears are over the shoulders. Just indulging in a few heavy sighs here. Breathing in nice and deep, expanding the diaphragm, expanding the belly, and then pushing all the air out. Coming back into just a regular breathing, relaxed position. What I call my clap snaps, just checking in with my nervous system there, which is greatly improved from last year. I'm very happy to say. It's an ongoing work in progress. I like to remind you and me. It's not a one-time deal. It's about showing up regularly for yourself, checking in with yourself regularly, continuing to develop a loving relationship with yourself. I hope you're doing that. I hope you're remembering that you are worthy of your own unconditional love, always and in always. And always, also, you are capable of doing more than you think. So I hope you will endeavor to get more curious, more courageous, more fit, and more free. I thank you for stopping by and joining me. I thank you for being you and letting me be me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and thank you if you do. Until next time, I'll be seeing you. Ciao for now. Peace.